Hey guys, welcome back here to Intuitive Angling, and appreciate you guys tuning in for today's video. And guys, got a story time again that is, you might enjoy this story, but it was very painful to me afterwards, both of these stories. I'm going to tell you about, there's two situations I know about where I'm pretty sure, in fact I know for one, but I'm pretty sure in the other, that I caught and released the Missouri state record meanmouth bass in 2013. And I think I caught and released the Lake Mead smallmouth record bass in 2018. And I know for sure that I probably lost the Missouri state record largemouth bass in 1982. So I sort of want to go over all three of those stories here, you know, sort of reminisce a little bit. I think you guys might find it interesting here. Also, guys, the two pictures in the thumbnail of this video. One is the state record meanmouth bass that I caught and released in 2013, and the other is the smallmouth that I'm pretty sure was the lake record at Lake Mead. So I just wanted to clarify that. Real quick, guys, I wanted to show you. You heard me talking about this. We're right in the middle of jerkbait season now. If you guys want the #1 January jerkbait, guys, try out this Megabass X Nanahan +2. This is a finesse jerkbait. All you regulars hear me talking about this thing all the time. This thing is like candy, like using live bait to cold water bass. I'll put this in my Tackle Warehouse link in the description of this video if you guys would like to pick one up. It's the Megabass X Nanahan +2. Throw it on 6-pound test Seaguar Viz X line. Fish it around main lake points if you have water visibility over 3 foot, and you'll catch 5 to 1 to everybody else using bigger jerkbaits. Freaking deadly here. Okay, guys, I got 3 stories I'm gonna tell you here. Let's get into this. First of all, I got thinking about it, and I'm surprised I hadn't done a video for this. Let me tell you about when I caught and released the Missouri state record meanmouth bass. I was fishing by myself. You can see that picture with that meanmouth and the spinnerbait there. I was fishing by myself up at Stockton Lake in Missouri. It was, I think this was May. If I can remember, it was April or May, one of those two. Water was flooded in the bushes. And I was throwing a Megabass spinnerbait. I was flipping and pitching bushes and throwing a spinnerbait around it. And I caught that big meanmouth. And when I first caught it, I thought it was a smallmouth, but I got looking at it and then I figured out it was a meanmouth, and I weighed it, and it weighed 5 pounds and 13 ounces, which, you know, was a freaking giant. I knew it was a big one, but I didn't even think anything about it being a record fish. And then I got looking a couple days later, and I saw that the state record meanmouth bass was caught at Table Rock, and it was 5 pounds and 10 ounces. And this one on my scale weighed 513 on my digital scale. So I'm like, you got to be kidding me. It's like, I just threw back the state record. Didn't even think about that. I'm sure that's happened before. And then the other one, the Lake Mead deal up there, I was practicing for the U.S. Open at Lake Mead. And I was catching some fish on topwater. But one of the things that I've done pretty good on at Lake Mead that nobody does is I fish a floating worm. So anyway, I was fishing an orange floating worm over this big flat, and there was some scattered grass on it. This fish come up and got the floating worm, and I set the hook, and it's a freaking giant smallmouth. I didn't have a scale with me, but I've caught 2 smallmouth over 6 pounds. I caught one that weighed 6 pounds 2 ounces at Kentucky Lake. And then I caught my biggest one, which is a 6.5 pounder up at the Quetico Boundary Waters fishing with Jerry McInnes out of the canoe. So I know what a 6-pound smallmouth looks like. And this fish looked every bit of 6 pounds. And I found out the lake record at Lake Mead was 5.5 pounds. Now I don't know for sure. I can guess usually within ounces of fish. And I guess this fish, the one in the picture there, it was about 5 3/4 to 6 pounds. It was definitely over 5.5 pounds for sure. And I found out the lake record was 5.5 pounds, and I threw that fish back because we had the tournament starting like 2 days later. And, you know, it was around this isolated grass clump. And I said, God, if I could catch that, I'll win big bass of the tournament. So I turned that one back. And then a lot of you guys have heard me talk about the story where, and again, this is speculation. I don't know for sure. I'm not saying this is factual, but I've caught enough fish that I can guess it pretty good. I was fishing at Table Rock Lake in 1982 with a buddy of mine, actually a friend of mine that just passed away this past spring. And back then, all we did was fish spoonbill rebels down at Table Rock Lake during the pre-spawn. And that was a period where there was a lot of big fish being caught. There was a lot of 8 to 9 pounders being caught. And if you went down there in March and didn't catch a 7 pounder, it was sort of an exception. You always caught a big one. So anyway, this friend of mine, Terry, we were down there, and we pulled into this cove, and we started in the back of the cove and started working out towards the main lake point. It was a short cove close to the main lake. And right off the bat, Terry caught an 813. We weighed it. It weighed 8 pounds and 13 ounces, basically a 9-pounder. And then I caught one about 6 right after that. And then we got to the point. And this point, back then, there was flooded cedar trees everywhere, submerged cedar trees, big giant ones, like as big as your garage. And the technique, we'd reel these rebels down next to those cedar trees and let them suspend. And that's how we were catching all those big ones. So anyway, I fired that rebel between 2 big cedar trees that were in about 20 foot of water, and I cranked it down. I just let it sit there and just twitching a little bit, and all of a sudden my line just ticked like that. And I set the hook, and it felt like I set the hook into a tree. It was like it didn't, I know it was a fish. I mean, there's no doubt my line jumped a foot in the air, and it's like I couldn't move it. And it's like, then it started, moving like that. And I told Terry, I go, this is either a freaking giant, or it's a foul hooked fish, or it's a big flathead catfish or something. I said, this is a freaking giant fish. And I'm fighting this thing. I've got 12-pound test mono and like a 5.5 foot bait cast rod back then. And the water was real clear. It was like we had 6 foot of visibility, so you could see perfectly. And I'm fighting this thing in, and it's calm. There's not much, it's about 9:30 in the morning, and it's calm, so you can see real good in the water. And Terry's up front there with me looking at it, and we're fighting this thing, and we both look, it's like, oh my God, look at the size of it. And I saw it about, probably 10 foot out from the boat. It was freaking giant. It looked like it had a side on it that big. And this thing, I get the fish about 5 foot from the boat, and it's just sort of like wallering like that into the water, and it is freaking giant. Terry just caught that 813, and this thing looked freaking twice as big as that. We get the thing up there, and my heart is pumping 1,000 miles an hour, and the fish starts coming up, and the fish is not moving fast. It's slow, and it opens its mouth, and its mouth is freaking. I could put 2 fists in it. It opens its mouth, and the rebel just comes out of its mouth. And when I got it back, the back 2 hooks were fouled on it. And Terry and I both, it's like, how big was that? I go, you tell me you saw it. Terry goes, that was a 14-pounder. That was, and we both caught 10s. And I've caught one close to 12 after that. And this was I caught one almost 12 at Lake Okeechobee. It was 11 something. And this was bigger than that. It was the biggest bass I've ever seen. Missouri state record's 12 something. So anyway, guys, that's the 3 stories, a little story time. But that happens. Like I said, I didn't weigh the fish, so I don't know if it was a 14 or a 12 or 13. When they're that big, it's hard to tell, but it was monster. And then again, the Lake Mead fish, I'm guessing on that, but I do know that I turned back the state record meanmouth bass out of Stockton Lake, and on a spinnerbait in 2 foot of water. That's the last place I thought I was going to catch one like that. So anyway, guys, this is a little story time. Hope you guys are well. We'll talk later.